Let's talk about Andor Episode 5, minor spoilers in 3, 2, 1. This was another solid episode. There's not a lot going on as far as action, but as far as building up these characters and the overall tension of the story that they're trying to tell, it did a fantastic job, and I'm just so enthralled in the story that they are telling. Now, one of the lines that stuck with me the most was when Vel is speaking to Cassian, and she says that everybody has their own rebellion. That was absolutely amazing, and I think it just really sums up everything that is going on in the series so far, because you have all of these different people, the people on Fex, the people on Aldhani, and even Mon Mothma on Coruscant and Luthen. They all are doing their own part in building up this rebellion, and they all have their own reasons for doing that. And that's part of the reason why I love Star Wars Rebels so much. And for those of you that know me, you know that my favorite era in Star Wars is the Age of Rebellion. And so I'm just really enjoying getting to see all of these different, small, counterparts building up this larger mechanism that is going to become, the Grand Rebellion. And I'm just really enjoying the personal level that this show is taking in telling that story. And I cannot wait for the next one. I'd probably give this one a 7.5 out of 10. But yeah, no, really good stuff. Can't wait for more. May the Force be with you, always. Let's talk about Episode 6 of Andor. There's going to be spoilers. You've got 3, 2, 1. This episode was absolutely incredible, not only from a narrative perspective, but also visually. I think it was one of the most stunning pieces of Star Wars that we've gotten, ever, honestly. And, specifically, I'm talking about that shot with the TIE fighters in the hangar as the eye is, unfolding in the atmosphere, and I was watching that on my laptop, and I was still just blown away. It was that amazing. But aside from the visuals, which were definitely a highlight of this episode, the tension in here was just absolutely phenomenal, more so than the past couple of episodes, and I had already been praising the tension in this series, but I went into this thinking, yeah, some of these characters are not going to make it out alive, and I still underestimated how many of them were going to bite the dust. Now, I actually, at several moments, take, for example, Lieutenant Gorn. When he got shot, I was like, he's okay, he's going to get back up, this is Star Wars. No, he stayed on the ground. He was stone cold dead. And so are many of the others. And, they, baited us with Nemec. They naturally built him up to be the most likable, and then, no, he actually had the most brutal death of all of the characters, I think. We're absolutely just gut-wrenching. And then with Skeen, his revelation that he's not actually in it for the rebellion, he's just completely, self-absorbed, he just wants the money, and then Cassian, pulling the Han Solo on him, shooting him right there, it was just absolutely just nuts, to be quite honest. But, the whole episode was so good. I was shaking at times, I, had genuine, gasp moments, holy cow, did that just happen? It was so good. But seriously, a whole bunch of these characters, they're there and now they're not. And, I anticipated that to an extent, but not to the extent that it actually happened. Now, I'm just really looking forward. We're only halfway through this series as well. There's another 6 episodes, so, another 2 arcs. And I think a lot of the shots that we saw in the trailer have already been seen. So I'm really curious as to, where this is going to go. Cassian is kind of, taken his cut and gone off. And then we did get a little snippet of Mon Mothma and Luthen back on Coruscant. But I'm really enjoying this series. But yeah, there was a lot of moments in this one that caught me off guard, and just, I do want to mention the Aldhanis too, because when they were in their own language telling that Imperial dude to screw off, and it was, I don't know, that moment was really cool, and seeing everybody watching the eye unfold as well, I don't know, I really loved this episode. I'm curious, what did you guys think? Stay tuned for more Star Wars content, and may the Force be with you, always. We gotta talk about Andor Episode 7, there is going to be spoilers ahead, so you've got 3, 2, 1. This show continues to impress me. I absolutely love this episode. Essentially what we have going on now is that both sides are building and preparing actively for full-on retaliation against each other. The rising intensity between both factions could be seen and felt, and I absolutely loved that. At this point in time, the Empire is about to take way more seriously the different rebel attacks and groups, even though they still don't necessarily see them as an organization, but they're about to become way more aggressive to literally anybody, a planet, a system, an individual who opposes them in even the slightest bit. But we find out that that is exactly what Luthen had hoped for with his plan on Aldhani. He is forcing the Empire's hand to become more violent to the general population, only to inspire more of that population to rebel against the Empire. There is a game of chess being played right now, and Luthen has just made an extremely strategic move, sacrificing some of his morals at the same time, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his end goal, and he's going to be on the right side of history, but at the same time, him forcing the Empire to show their true colors and just how evil they are, that was something he anticipated, and Mon Mothma doesn't necessarily agree with that, but then he tells her, he says, if you're not willing to sacrifice your conscience, then you might as well surrender right now. There is a lot of lines in this series that have just made me go, wow, and that was certainly one of them. There was also a lot of really cool moments and details in this episode. For instance, I believe this was the first live-action debut of the HoloNet in Star Wars, and then also, Wolf Yularen made an appearance, not just a cameo in the background, but he was fully present right there from the beginning of the episode, and that was absolutely amazing. He was one of the characters that I was really hoping would show up, and he did. Now I just need Bail Organa and Admiral Akbar, but also, we had the return of the KX series droids, and obviously Cassian will befriend one of them, K2SO, in the future, but this one he is being choked out by, and while we're on the topic of Cassian, he's still kind of self-centered self-centered. He's not really fighting for anything larger than himself at this point, but his mother Marva kind of, says that I'm staying here on Ferrix. Like, I'm ready to join the rebellion. Like, the Empire has done enough. It's time to fight back. And I think ultimately towards the end of this season, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be some type of rebellion event on Ferrix his mother Marva is going to take place in, and I don't think she's going to make it out. And I think that's ultimately what is going to spark Cassian to fight for something larger than himself. I think she's probably going to perish, and he's going to join the rebellion for real. I'm also really interested in Deidre's character, like that whole exchange between her and the other ISB officers in that meeting where she's kind of taking the initiative and challenging everybody else's thought process on how to tackle the rebels was really well done. And then that exchange between her and Partagaz in the hallway where he says, well played, watch your back, that was another really awesome moment. Overall, I'd probably give this episode another 9 out of 10. I loved it. Can't wait for more. Stay tuned for more Star Wars content. May the Force be with you, always.